Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Vichana Baba Girivaradhari Vichana Baba Girivaradhari Vichana Baba Girivaradhari Vichana Baba Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, thank you for coming and staying. So tonight we'll have Bhagavad-gita class. I've chosen a very important verse. They're all the verses are important, but this is one I particularly like. It's chapter 9, verse 30. So we'll.
I'll say that before. I love the presentation.
Huh?
I love the presentation.
Oh.
What is the title of the 9th chapter?
It's the most confidential knowledge. Chapter is called the most confidential knowledge, which is devotional service. Okay, so we can chant the Sanskrit together, as it was done when Srila Prabhupada was physically present. Api chet sudaracharo Bhajate mam ananyabhak Sadur eva samantavya Samyak yavasito hi saha Api chet sudaracharo Bhajate mang ananyabhak Sadur eva samantavya. Samyagyavasito sihisaha. Vichetsu daracharo. Vajate mam ananyavak. Sadur eva samantavya. Samyagyavasito hisaha.
Apichetsu duracharo.
Vichetsu daracharo. Vajate mam ananyavak. Sadur eva samantavya. Samyagyavasito hisaha. Vichetsu daracharo. Vajate mam ananyavak. Sadur eva samantavya. Samyagyavasito hisaha. Vichetsu daracharo. Vajate mam ananyavak. Samyagyavasito hisaha. Vichetsu daracharo. Vajate mam ananyavak. Sadur eva samantavya. Samyagyavasito hisaha. Anyone else? Apichetsu daracharo. Vajate mam ananyavak. Sadur eva samantavya. Samyagyavasito hisaha. Okay, so we'll do word for word synonyms. Api, even, chait, if, sudarachara, one committing the most abominable actions. Bhajate is engaged in devotional service. Mam, unto me, ananyavak, without deviation. Sadhu, a saint. Eva, certainly. Saha, he. Mantavya is to be considered. Samyak, completely. Vyavasitaha, situated in determination. He, certainly. Saha, he. Translation. Even if, this is Krishna speaking, of course, Krishna, even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. Repeat after me. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. Okay, so of course this requires Srila Prabhupada's purport, which we will read. The word sudarachara used in this verse is very significant, and we should understand it properly. When a Sudurachara means one committing the most abominable actions. So the word Sudurachara used in this verse is very significant, and we should understand it properly. When a living entity is conditioned, he has two kinds of activities. One is conditional, and the other is constitutional. As for protecting the body or abiding by the rules of society and state, certainly there are different activities, even for the devotees, in connection with the conditional life, and such activities are called conditional. Besides these, the living entity who is fully conscious of his spiritual nature and is engaged in Krishna consciousness or devotional service of the Lord has activities which are called transcendental. Such activities are performed in his constitutional position, and they are technically called devotional service. Now, in the conditioned state, sometimes devotional service and the conditional service in relation to the body will parallel one another. But then again, sometimes those activities become opposed to one another. As far as possible, a devotee is very cautious so that he does not do anything that could disrupt his wholesome condition. He knows that perfection in his activities depends on his progressive realization of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes, however, it may be seen that a person in Krishna consciousness commits some act which may be taken as most abominable socially or politically. But such temporary fall down does not disqualify him. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that if a person falls down but is wholeheartedly engaged in the transcendental service of the Supreme Lord, the Lord, being situated within his heart, purifies him and excuses him for that abomination. The material contamination is so strong that even a yogi fully engaged in the service of the Lord sometimes becomes ensnared. But Krishna consciousness is so strong that such an occasional fall down is at once rectified. Therefore, the process of devotional service is always a success. No one should deride a devotee for some accidental fall down from the ideal path, for, as explained in the next verse, such occasional fall downs will be stopped in due course as soon as the devotee is completely situated in Krishna consciousness. That's only half the purport, but we will run out of time so let me speak a little bit and then we can go on. So, it's a very important verse here. So but just to read the verse, it would sound like, okay, you chant Hare Krishna, it doesn't matter what you do, you're saintly. It doesn't no matter what. But it's not exactly that. The point here is that if one's engaged very much in devotional service, they've dedicated their life, their desire in life, their goal in life is to be Krishna conscious, and chanting Hare Krishna, following principles. This is my perfection of life, is to do this. They're doing that, but because of we're still on the not perfect platform, and previous to taking up Krishna consciousness, we've all come from some other order of condition of life, and maybe we're engaged in not such good activities. So it's always possible in the course of our trying to be fully Krishna conscious that we can make some mistake, fall down, illicit sex, or just even becoming angry when you don't want to become angry. Something can happen. But what's being described here is like this: that if a devotee is dedicated, his whole purpose in life is to become Krishna conscious, and then something happens, there's some difficulty, And the devotee, because his goal in life, his dedication in life is to be Krishna conscious. So he'll think, oh, Krishna, what did I do? How can what a fool I was. I did such and such, such and such. And immediately he's already, because he's already used the word repenting in his mind. He's already repenting. Oh, I made a mistake. I can't let this happen. So the mistake was made. Something happened, but still his goal in life, his purpose in life, is to be Krishna conscious. So very quickly, and by that repentance, that mood of repentance, that oh, I made a mistake, but let me, Krishna, help me stay on the path of devotional service. That is what purifies us, and that's why a devotee who's engaged like that, even if there's some problem, but he continues on the path of devotional service, that's why he's still considered to be saintly, because his real purpose in life, our real purpose in life, is to be Krishna conscious, right? The real purpose in life is to be Krishna conscious. There's a little problem here and there, bumps in the road sometimes, but if there's some bump in the road, we still stay on the road, or the other analogy is taking the ship across the ocean of material existence. So the waves are there. There's a storm. You're going up and down, back and forth, like that. But you stay in the boat. There's some problems, but you stay in the boat. You don't really give up your devotional service. So that's what's being described here. And what the real emphasis, this chapter is called the most confidential knowledge, and the most confidential knowledge means devotional service. So this is just showing how powerful devotional service is. That even if there's some problem, if we just stay on the path of devotional service, then we get purified of that impurity. That is the whereas in material activities, karma kanda, just doing worshiping the demigods, doing material things. If there's some kind of a fall down sinful activity or something like that, then there's other kinds of, it's called prayaschita. It means activities which are done for the purification of those activities. Visiting holy places all over, some kind of austerity, some fasting, some just different prescriptions for different activities. And one has to go through all that just to get purified. But that doesn't take away that doesn't remove the ignorance that caused them to get entangled in the first place. Whereas in devotional service, if we're on this path, we don't have to go through all those other activities. Simply by there's a difficulty, we just get back on, or stay, and just practically stay on the path of devotional service, and keep chanting, keep following the principles, and keep engaged in association of devotees, and in due course of time, we become fully purified. Like the Srila Prabhupada gave the example of the mango. I gave this example this morning in class. The mango is, when the mangoes first come out, they're green, hard. If you try to eat a green mango, it's very bitter. But if that same mango, and you give it a few weeks on the tree, and it turns into a nice yellow or red and yellow, sweet, soft mango. Right? So in the same way, Srila Prabhupada compares that to our becoming Krishna conscious. We're on the path of Krishna consciousness, but in the beginning we're like the green mango. We're not, and we're not Krishna conscious yet. But if we stay on the path, then the activity stays the same, and the purification uh, will follow. If we continue on the path, then that purification uh, will act upon us, and in due course, but just by staying on this path, we become fully Krishna conscious, and in the end, we go back to the spiritual world. We go back home, back to Godhead. That is the whole purpose of the whole goal of Vedic knowledge. Bhagavad-gita and the goal of Bhagavad-gita, conclusion of Bhagavad-gita, is what? Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayami masitaha. Krishna says, after Lord Krishna presented many different paths, path of yoga, the path of karma, the path of jhana. He mentioned all these different paths to Arjuna, but in the end, he says, "But I told you all these things, but now I'm asking you, you give up all these other activities, give up all." It says, "Give up all varieties of religion and surrender unto me." Varieties of religion means any rules and regulations and scriptural injunctions in the Vedas is called, if you're following it, it's called, you're religious. You're religious in the mode of goodness, religious in the mode of passion, religious in the mode of ignorance, but it's religious. And worshiping the demigods is also religious, but it's not recommended. So Krishna is saying, final conclusion, almost the last verse of the Bhagavad Gita, he says to give up all these other varieties of religious activities, the material religious activities, and just surrender to me. Surrender to me because you mean engage in my devotional service. And of course that's what that's what we've learned, or we are learning, we're studying, practicing, that Srila Prabhupada, of course, has given us. Nobody figures these things out on their own. Bhagavad Gita also says, which I quoted this morning too, that out of many thousands among men, which means men and women, of course, but the verse says that out of many thousands among men, hardly one endeavors for perfection, and out of those who endeavor for perfection, hardly one knows me, Krishna, in truth. So, and that's a fact, because Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that there are maybe 99.9% of all the people in the world at any one time are non-devotees, or karmis, or vikarmis, but they're not interested at all in something transcendental. Most people are, like, on that level. And then, so that means out of many thousands among men, hardly one of them will endeavors for perfection. Who is endeavoring for perfection? Well, there are the jhanis. The jhanis means those who have finally come to the realization after lifetimes of existence. The jhanis have come to the realization that this material world, the material enjoyment, it's a waste of time. There's no real happiness there. But they don't know at that point what is the truth, what is the final goal, because they're trying to figure it out on their own. They're trying to figure it out on their own. So the jhanis are thinking, following the process is called neti. It means like they figure the material body is got so many problems and miseries. So they think, okay, perfection means everything has to be impersonal. Perfection means there's no body. God or the highest knowledge or whatever must also be impersonal because their experience with anything material is that there's some problem, something imperfection there. So they analyze like this. It's not this. It's not this. It's not this. So they come to a conclusion that okay, there's something transcendental to this material world, but it's only it's spiritual, but it's not personal. That's the conclusion. So so by our own little intelligence, nobody figures these things out. But by performing certain pious activities, spiritually pious activities, then one can gradually come to the point where he gets very fortunate, and he comes in contact with devotees and comes in contact with the spiritual master. And then the spiritual master in the disciplic succession will give the real knowledge. As we've gotten this real knowledge from Srila Prabhupada, who has said that what the actual goal of life is, and who is actually God, and what does God look like, and what does God do, and what is our relationship with God. This is what Srila Prabhupada has given us. Who would have, unless we were, born in a situation where we were being taught that in our home, then we probably would never figure this out. So that in that verse, out of many thousands among men, hardly one endeavors for perfection, the jnanis, and of those who make who endeavor for that perfection, very, very few, relatively speaking, come to the point of devotional service and understand who is God, and what is my relationship with the Supreme Lord, like that. So I can go on with the purport a little more, or are there any questions at this point?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yes.
Actually,
Can you ask the question in the
it's
microphone?
been ruining in my head for the longest. I read a book about William James, a American philosopher and psychologist, one of the most outstanding of the our culture, American culture, philosophy. Most of the philosophers are from Germany and all that. But William James speaks, he wrote a book, it's called The Variety of Religious Experiences. He went to study all the religions, how people have this, what he called this insight, like the authors of the religions, right? We're talking about Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, all of those historical spiritual figures in our human history. They didn't see spiritual life whimsically like most of us do. They saw it with a big fervent passion that some of us lack. And then he's studying like a psychologist. He's go deep into studying the brain and how some people are so easily conduce themselves to spiritual life, very, very determined, like the text, very determined, and very seldomly they probably would, like you say, commit little mistake here and there, but at the end of the road, they're very fixed in what they want. They're very determined.
Yes.
Something that most of us don't have. Now, the question is, why there's certain people like these historical figures, which were the author of the tradition. Everybody follows the tradition, but they were the originators. Krishna, Buddha, and all of them, and everybody follows them. So he's trying to investigate what is in those people's brain or their mind that makes us different than we do, and how can we get there?
Oh. Well, you mentioned Jesus. You mentioned Buddha.
The pure devotee.
Yes. So of course, we got to understand who these personalities are or were. So Lord Buddha is actually an incarnation of Krishna. We say a Shakti Vaishavatar. He was a Jiva soul like us, but he was a pure devotee of Krishna, and he was empowered for a particular purpose, which we don't have time to go into the whole history here, but
Long
that's the idea. He was already a purified soul, and he came for a very specific purpose, to teach. And of course, Jesus also taught in the same way. Jesus said to his followers, I have
Going to build
so much more to teach you, but you cannot bear to hear it.
Right.
They were not spiritually advanced enough to understand.
Right.
Jesus could have taught them what we are learning
Right.
now, but they were not on that level, so he couldn't reveal that to them just then.
Okay.
So why are they like that? Because they were already pure. They were not just seekers. They were already, those two were pure. Apparently, the same thing with the Prophet Muhammad.
Mm-hmm.
So
they were born with special qualities.
Yeah, they were engaged by God for some particular purpose as far as teaching, and not everyone taught the highest truth because not everyone the audience was not qualified
to understand.
It's like Jesus said, I've got so much more to tell you.
Yeah, he said that.
So this particular person, the philosopher, he's trying to figure this out, but all these explanations, of course, are given in Srila Prabhupada's books. That these personalities are actually pure devotees of the Lord and empowered to teach certain people in certain ways.
So can we, out of this dark condition that we were born into, if we take this process seriously, can we ever get to become a pure devotee somewhere along the line, or maybe in this life or next?
In this lifetime, if we're serious.
Okay.
And it's the same thing. He said how these particular personalities were very enthusiastic, very
fervent,
like that. Well, our books say the same thing. Nectar of Instruction says, Utsaha Nishchaya Daryat Tat Karma Pravartanat. Utsaha. Utsaha means enthusiastic. Right. We have one of the qualifications we need to become Krishna conscious. You must be enthusiastic.
Happy.
Yeah, enthusiasm. And Srila Prabhupada defines enthusiasm. He says, enthusiasm means making some endeavor using your intelligence in Krishna consciousness. Yeah. You don't want to be, a monkey is enthusiastic jumping from one tree to another and doing what the monkeys do. So, but here, enthusiasm means that you're engaged in Krishna conscious activities, and you're using your intelligence how to do that activity in the best way for the purpose of pleasing Krishna. Yeah. Enthusiasm, confidence. Confidence means that we have to believe in the process, otherwise we won't even try it. And patience, because no one's going to become Krishna conscious overnight. It may take many years, it may take more than one lifetime. But in reality, if we have that much knowledge, we can stay on. If we could just stay on the path, we can just finish up our business in this lifetime. The only reason we don't, if we're chanting, we follow, we accept Guru, we're following the instructions of the Guru, and we do that to the end of our life, then we become qualified to go back to the spiritual world. Yeah. That's what it takes. If we quit before, then we will not likely go back that lifetime, but we'll be in a better position the next lifetime where we can continue and go forward.
Always closer, having a better chance. Always closer and having a better chance to fulfill it somewhere.
Yes. But there's no reason, not that we say, I probably won't go back for another 10, 15, 20 years, a lifetime. No. If we want to finish up in this lifetime, we can finish up in this lifetime.
We got this opportunity now.
Yeah, we all have the opportunity. We just have to, we know what to do. We have the process to follow. We just have to do it.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Yes, thank you, Bhagavad-gita, and I didn't have to thank you for the presentation of the class. It's very thoughtful and very thankful, and it engages other people. You don't need to thank people. But very nice. But I'm going to back on to his question. So what we say that now, the philosophy, but the philosopher that you're referring to there now, which is the philosopher is one who studies religion, who studies religion. Right. So he's asking, he's wondering why that the people continue to follow such people like this, right?
He's questioning the author, the originator.
Right.
Not us, because we just follow tradition.
Right. So you look at that tradition, but you see there again, if in case, there, in that point, knowledge is very important.
Rational.
Because knowledge is very important. Because he's a philosopher. And people could follow him.
Psychology.
As a philosopher and psychologist, most blend of these things. But they're probably using that. Then they don't have no knowledge of the adversary. Because they measure people by flesh and blood, like how we see them. Right? But they're not foreseeing that there is people that is sent from the spiritual realm down here. These people that is sent, like Lord Jesus Christ, Buddha, they are, as Prabhupada said, these are avatars.
Meet the seed.
Yes, or whatever you want, Nitisidas or avatars. So even though they look like the textbook, they have that inner power from above to come to do that. But so that we find that philosophers don't have that. So and it becomes a twinkling problem to find out why people follow these people because they don't see to themselves that these people are descending to bring us message. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. We just using our reason and logic.
Yeah,
like
but
he says that to understand the dynamic, right, that happens in the brain. Because some of the people, they were not ordinary people. They have something deeper that most of us don't have, that we struggle to get it. But not everybody, like, in this age, is like this. Not everybody can be like Christian. It's something, that's what he's comparing. The dynamic of their mindset that was totally different than us. And he gave a good explanation.
The consciousness was totally disrupted. The consciousness was not disrupted in that way when they descend. There was a moment when the just among people among you, but the consciousness was not contaminated. It was never contaminated. It was a focus that they can. But that doesn't mean that because they are descended. Now you and I are not descended. We fallen. So we have to stand up as the book. Because our consciousness is contaminated. So we have to take another material body. That is what people are talking about. Is that right, right?
I'm not going to follow.
Yeah, because most of them doesn't have like Lord Jesus Christ. You claim that he didn't have the material.
Jesus Christ?
Right, he didn't have the material, but he had the God's body, you can see him, but that was not the material. And there's other things already. You have other times that they are spiritual on you. Because spiritual doesn't mean he doesn't have a body. You have your body.
You can have a spiritual body that is spiritual, it's actually eternal, full of knowledge, full of bliss, like that. And you can have a spiritual body, spiritualized body, we may say, meaning that your body is being used 100% in the service of the Lord. The same way as our bodies also, in that sense, can be spiritual. I mean, obviously there's so many material problems with it, but it's spiritualized in that sense, and then it's used if the body is being used in Krishna service. Same way, prasadam is food, ordinary food, but it's been offered to Krishna, so now it has a spiritual effect. And they say, I can feel it, I can just, it looks the same way, but the difference is, prasadam, is that if you eat prasadam, you get purified by eating it. If you eat the same kind of food, and it's not offered to Krishna, and you get more entangled in the material world. So it's spiritual, but it has a different effect.
So the prashada is a good way to start to disentangle ourselves from the material. I would
Yes,
say it.
the secret weapon.
Secret weapon.
Sure. So I wasn't following too much. Was there a final question, or was it?
Yeah, no, what I was saying is this, it's very simple. What you say, like, on behalf of what I was saying, like, the philosophers, because people who don't know, people who doesn't know religion, they could follow philosophers, and they may not find it on good reason during the goal, because they themselves need more knowledge. They will need more information. Information knowledge is very important. So what I was explaining, Pabudama, is that when you mention of the advocate coming on the earth, right?
Yes.
They look like the same book. But he was explaining how why the philosophers follow and the masses of the people of whoever to follow these people like Buddha and Muhammad and Jesus Christ. You know, heavy spiritual beings.
Yes.
So that was his question to you. So I was just injecting that in there, that those are so-called advertisers, or how you call it,
They never fall. They need to sit.
right, they never fall. So they come, they descend. But you and I, we realize that.
Yeah, but the main purpose of his study is that he wants to know, because it's a psychologist, study the brain. He wants to know why certain people have that facility to dedicate their brain in studying this spiritual experience
Yeah.
in a very exalted way, something that most of us don't ever do. No matter how much we practice, we can get there. Like sometime, like you said, maybe in this lifetime, could be, but it's something that it doesn't happen very seldomly among us. Most of us are bound, right?
Yeah.
Are bound.
And because this is a philosopher, he's thinking, speculating, trying to use his brain to figure this out.
He's not gonna
And that's
find
why
it.
he couldn't come. He didn't have an answer.
No, he don't.
The answer is very easy, because there's two kinds of knowledge. There's called deductive and inductive and
Ascending
deductive.
and descent.
So the philosopher, the material philosopher, he is following the inductive process, which means he's using his brain and
Analyzing,
figuring,
experimenting,
analyzing, trying to figure things out.
laboratory.
And whereas the deductive means we take the perfect knowledge from above, from the Guru Parampara, we just accept that perfect knowledge.
Direct from the spiritual master.
Yeah, because if we use our imperfect senses and our tendency to cheat and our other imperfections and try to figure out get perfect knowledge, we will not be able to.
No. Reasoning has a limit, right? Because human reasoning, we can use our brain and our intelligence to build a lot of things like technology, this scientific world. But every scientist, everybody knows that intelligence has a limit. Reasoning has a limit. Could it be that when intelligence reaches its limit, then can we see another type of intelligence, spiritual intelligence, that will able us to see beyond?
Yes.
Yes, it's called Shastra Chakshus.
Yeah.
Shastra Chakshus means you're seeing through the eyes of the scriptures.
Yeah.
The knowledge is there. We understand we can see things in proper perspective by understanding the spiritual conclusions, the scriptural conclusions.
Yes, I just want to inject that make it clear. Lord Krishna said in Bhagavad-gita, Prabhupada wrote that and he said that. Even this happened when I was coming from home to here, I was listening to Prabhupada. No matter how much philosophy, how much science, how much whatever education you could have to surpass the whole universe. No matter what education you have to surpass the whole universe. If you are not a devotee of him, you can't understand Bhagavad-gita. You know what that means?
Yeah, that's true.
If you're not a devotee of the Lord, of the Krishna, you cannot understand Bhagavad-gita. You have to be devoted. Prabhupada was doing that lecture this morning, when I was coming here on my time. Why? Because to be a devotee is to be in your swarupa. The soul is elevated. You know, and that's how you can understand the knowledge, is spiritual knowledge. Spiritual knowledge cannot be understood by man being.
Yeah, Krishna again says in Bhagavad-gita, Teshang Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvidam, that the one who's constantly devoted and worship me with love, to them and to him, I give the understanding by which he can come to me. So we have to be engaged in devotional service. We have to be enthusiastic. We have to serve Krishna in a loving attitude, and Krishna reciprocates by giving us this knowledge, by giving us this knowledge by which we can come to him. That's what the verse means.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're time here, so we'll end here for now. It wasn't announced tonight, but tomorrow is the appearance day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Tomorrow, yes. Which means sometime tomorrow, and I don't know exactly because Maharaj hasn't told me yet, we'll have a Pushpanjali ceremony for Srila Bhaktisiddhanta.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll put a notice out, but that's part of what we do, and I'll be giving the class tomorrow morning, and I'll speak something. It's also streaming it for Srila Bhaktisiddhanta.
Yeah.
Okay?
The half-day fast.
It should be half-day fast too. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.